Here we go with a set of 9 exercises relating to the previous pods on matrices, trends, hot and new topic detection, and maps. If you're in a group doing these in pairs, then discussing together has proven effective. If you're all alone, they're a good test of your uptake on research profiling using Vantage Point. In either event, if questions arise, we welcome them, and we'll do our best to respond as we can. This pod also lets us sneak in a few additional capabilities for your interest. While we go quickly through the exercises, providing some pointers. We don't expect you to sit down and do 9 exercises at once. So the podcast is a quick introduction, with the PowerPoints the enduring resource when you're ready to sit down and do it. So note the source for the PowerPoints on this slide. Here we go. I'm going to use this split dual visualization here with the hope that when you actually sit down to do it, you'll have these in front of you, the PowerPoint. But what I want to do here is move quickly through some ideas on them. Okay, matrix, fun, and games. As per our summary sheet in this Vantage Point file we've been using on nano-enhanced solar cells, there's a lot of fields to choose as you pick any 2 to make a matrix. Some of the choices, you could pick a when question field concerning time. Our only one of those here is publication year. Then there's lots of who fields, authors, institutions, countries, or we could call countries where if you prefer. And then the what fields, the topic areas, keywords, subject categories, and so forth. So pick what you'd like and make a matrix. Let's take one that's ready-made here, just to illustrate a couple of these matrix operations. One is flooding, where you can go in here and eliminate some of the cells with fewer entries to help you see the concentrations of activity. Netbook speed, this takes a little bit. Okay. When we've done that, we could go in here and paint a group of cells. We've got a couple sets already painted, but let's say we're really into oxides. Paint those, but then come along and say, oh, let's sort. So here we've sorted by year and things move around, but you retain those markers. Okay. So some suggestions here to use this to try to get some experience in looking for the co-occurrence-based indications that are of interest. Over here we could peek into our title views and grab some of those cells if we wanted, but let's not. Let's move ahead in matrix visualization. So slide 83 of this set. Coming from the same matrix, we have already done visualization. And here's this capability. This is interactive. So if I click on something here, the coverage and the detail views will change to fit that. What's nice is a variety of layouts are possible. I usually like the column one. In this case, I'm not sure it is pretty good. So if we wanted to see the topics that the U.S. National Renewable Energy Lab is active in, we could do so and highlight and move around. Okay, so some suggestions for you to try out matrix visualization. On to activity diversity. This provides a labeled scattergram that's specially designed to address how sharply focused is the research of a set of entities. I think we've got one of those already. Activity diversity. And there it is. If you wanted to do it yourself, you'd have to locate that script, open it, run it, and make selection. Which field would you like to plot? Which field to measure diversity? So let's pick our field, our top few affiliations. One measure of diversity might be macro disciplines or subject categories from which macro disciplines is concentrated. You've got some choices on sizing this, and then you'd say, okay. I'll leave that as an exercise for y'all. Aduna clustering. We've got an Aduna cluster map ready-made for us. It's really a pretty straightforward. There's a wizard with a window that guides you through the choices you need to make. And then when you get it, you get this sort of rendition. It's a little bit squeezed in here. Sorry about this. But you can highlight the cells. For instance, here's Germany and the UK have collaborated on 8 papers in this set, and that's what's highlighted. Okay. Plot matrix for trend analyses. I made a matrix down here. Number of authors per paper by publication year. We've got our years sorted. Here we've highlighted cell. It should have a whole bunch of authors. And it seems to do so. Okay, so plot matrix. We have a script for that. Plot matrix. But it is pasted the data into Excel, and now it's going through and generating a variety of different plots from that matrix. And I hope you get the feel for that. Okay, hot and new. The exercise that's laid out here for list comparison pretty well walks through what was done in Pod 6 on that technique. Pick suitable terms, break your data, etc. I'll leave that to you. I'd like to focus on here is another way you can get at what's hot. This is using expectancy values. If you open your publication years field, publication years, here's our field. If we click on that, these up or down arrows are expectancy. You can sort on those, and these give you some feel. Whoops, that's authors. If we'd switch this to keywords and sorted, what are terms that are showing up in this year more than they do generally in the data set? So a quick way to get at expectancy. Here's an easy reference for what I was trying to show. And let's move on to tracking terms by year. There's a nice macro that does that, cleverly called terms by year. Let's not run it now, but you would pick the field that you want. Pick the year field. Decide what you'd like here. The sum report in Excel can be pretty handy. Mapping. Okay, as we presented in the Pod 7, we introduced 3 types of vantage point maps and a couple of other types of maps that begin in vantage point but involve other software. The exercises here are limited to comparing 2 types of vantage point maps. I didn't do factor maps. I think the Pod 7 description is sufficient to let you try on your own, whatever you might be inclined to do. Usually it's consolidating large term sets. There's no separate exercises for the science overlay maps or the geomapping because those aren't directly supported by search. We are trying to build the self-supporting academic community, and there was a referral in Pod 7 to a website that'll help you build a science overlay map if you'd like to. Okay, the finale on exercises. Correlation maps and vantage point. What we'd like to do here is generate the two types of co-occurrence maps to give you a better feel for their differences. In Pod 7, we did this, an autocorr versus a cross-correlation presentation for a top 10 countries. A logical, finer stage would be some set of affiliations, that is, research organizations. Those could be global or within one country. But let's go to a finer scale, author network, and we'll do so within one organization. What I've done here is made a separate file for Han Meitner Institute. It, incidentally, is now merged into HZB, the Helmholtz Zentrum Berlin. Anyway, I created this subdata set, 64 records. Working with its author fields, we can see there's 199 authors for those 64 papers. Depending on your interest, you might want to look at the full network. If so, you'll really need to oversize the chart in Vantage Point. Maybe go 3 by 4 or whatever. But for this exercise, I just selected the 15 researchers with 5 or more publications and made a group. Then, here we've got the autocorrelation map for those authors. Again, if you see the label autocorrelation map, and this is based on how frequently Barr's name appears together with Fisher's name. So for Fisher, we see he or she has 8 publications, 6 of those are with Barr. That's a strong collaboration. The other type of map is the cross correlation. Here we're basing the map and the strength of connections and the location on the commonality of keywords that these authors use. I lucked out here. Barr and I think it was Clyer I was looking at, or Fisher, are right in the foreground, and we see they're strongly linked. Well, if they're writing a lot of papers together, no real surprise here. What might be interesting is if you have someone who is not so connected with the others, but you find some interests that really are in common, and then you might want to take off with that. Okay, whoops, this is our real finale, super profile. A really versatile research profiling tool, provides breakouts for a set of entities to show other field values. Let's go here to our authors. Super profile. Let's do that selection. And that gets us to our choices here. Column type, top items, pick our field. Since these are authors, how about subject categories, top 3, add to our profile. Notice in our profile we can set a threshold and either have it delivered in Vantage Point or Excel. Another really interesting type here, and we'll let you explore these, is the % recent, using publication year, say the last 2 years, add to profile. I'm not going to run it because we're trying to keep this reasonably concise, and instead I urge you to give it a go. I think you'll find it a very useful tool. And this wraps up our research profiling podcast. Let us know what should we add to these, what should we change, and best wishes for productive research profiling. Bye for now.